The Big Bad Boyd on LBC 1152 AM. Call 0171 412 1152.
Now, there are three things you could be thinking this morning, but you must be thinking one of these three things, and they're big things. Something like Kosovo waking up and discovering what's been going on through the night and will be going on for days, and actually will be going on for decades, maybe even centuries, if we continue with this particular approach to a cultural conflict, means that you are this morning either proud to be British, or you are ashamed to be British, or you do not give a tinker's cuss for whatever reason, and that could actually be the moral high ground, option 3. But which is it for you, and why? If you feel proud of being British for this, how can that be? Because you are actually playing no part at all in what is taking place. And you ought also to notice that the rest of the world, with the exception of the United States and perhaps Germany, although with a green foreign minister, we're lagging way behind them in certain respects, aren't we? I'd have thought they've got their private reservations about what's going on, even if they don't voice them. 0171 412 1152. If you're ashamed to be British, then surely you shouldn't be. To be ashamed to be British means that you are a forward-thinking person who understands that patriotism, jingoism, xenophobia is something that you've managed to rise above. You say to yourself, are an individual, and what your country does is neither here nor there. Your job is to disport yourself through your life, your own life, with as much valour and dignity and right as you can muster. 0171 412 1152. If you don't give a tinker's cuss, if you really don't care any longer, I guess it's because you're suffering from conflict saturation. You've seen it all before. You know the cynical reasons why you suspect it's being done. It all has to do with winning elections. It all has to do with the requirements of the Ministry of Defence when it comes to pitching for their next budget, and ditto with brass knobs on the Pentagon. 0171 412 1152. We're talking about that, and we're also talking about some of the things that have been on the agenda in this morning's new breakfast show. We found ourselves, as a result of the plight of a jockey in Towcester, discussing whether it is possible to lose 1.5 pounds in weight by merely visiting the men's room, which is what a jockey said happened to him and was the reason why he ended up riding a horse when he weighed 1.5 pounds less than he should have done, because he'd nipped to the loo just before he rode the jockey, having already been weighed out. Is that possible? Is that possible? And isn't it astonishing that you yourself, I suspect this is true of you, is it not astonishing that you yourself know more about what's going on in Kosovo than you do about one of the 5 basic, essential bodily functions? You have to live, what is it? You have to breathe, eat, drink, and evacuate by both methods. And you probably know more about Kosovo than you do about spending a penny through your own system, because you don't know how much is right. You don't know what sort of a state it should be in when it leaves you. And yet there are those older than wiser and wiser than us who know that you can tell an awful lot more about yourself from the state of your pee than you can from poking out your tongue and seeing if it's furry, or any of the other tricks and tests that your doctor might use. The number is 0171 412 1152. I'm Tommy Boyd. It's 11 minutes past 9, and this is LBC.
Brighton area lot 0171 412 1152.
Steve calls. Steve, you're on LBC. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. This is necessary to do it. The British government break up the liberty Yugoslavia because they believe that they have a business, because the breaking Yugoslavia, they make a business. You know, the 6 republics, 6 consulates, 6 different, politics or diplomatics there. And now they do a job which is no good at all. I don't think so that the Britain should be involved with that. Because why? If the Britain just said to Albania, look, I'm fed up with you and I'm fed up with you. I want you to be quiet, but you.
Do you think British people should this morning feel proud or ashamed of themselves?
Well, the one way, of course, they're proud because they've done a job, isn't it? And another way, is not right.
Good to know people can, from that part of the world. Steve is from Croatia, can know how to sit on the fence, just like some of us do. 0171412 1152. Helena calls from Harrow.
Hello, good morning. I have 3 points to make. It is very important because most people don't understand. Number one is Albanians, ethnic Albanians, they are not fighting for their determination, self-determination. They have their own country, their own ways of life, which is very nomadic, because they haven't done anything in the last 70 years.
With respect, though, when you make a point like this,
that's number one.
Yes, but when you make a point like that, because of the way in which you've made it,
that is historic.
No, wait a minute. Can I finish my point, please? No, because I want to. I'm not going to listen to 3 points. None of us are going to listen to 3 points.
But you can't be proud to go in there.
No, I need to tell you something.
Wrong. You don't know history.
It's not important to know history. It's important to be able to communicate, and it's important that you understand that your inability to listen and have a proper conversation may be what lies at the root of this war.
I am not Albanian.
I didn't say you were.
Serbian.
I'm saying that the human inability to communicate properly and have a conversation and understand the other person's point of view
I'm sorry.
may be what is responsible for this war, maybe what's responsible for every damn war.
I know the history, that's why.
It's no good you coming on the radio and telling people off for being ignorant.
And I'm sorry, it's, I do apologize. I have been...
you don't have to apologize, you just have to... You have to... What you have to do...
Britain has done very wrong to go there. Also, I condone what Milosevic has done, but the Kosovo is Serbian. You know, you can't get over. You're going
but what you're doing with what you're saying now is you're making people angry with you. Do you not understand that, woman? You're just making people cross with you. Because you're being volatile and rude to the English people.
I apologize to you.
But why do you do that?
And I know English.
What good do you think your approach does? How will it help to tell people that they are ignorant and that the British people should be ashamed? You did. You said they don't know what's going on. That means they're ignorant.
They don't know history, no.
Okay.
Only Mr. Ben. I heard Mr. Ben talking, and I realized he's intellectual. He does his homework. He knows the history. Mr. Ben is the only person, and Mr. Blair should listen to Mr. Ben, because Mr. Ben does his homework. He knows history. He's an intellectual.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Helena. I mean, the call's about Helena, and that's one thing, but you've got to know that. If you're going to exercise proper listening skills and decent social skills, and we're going to get somewhere with this planet of ours, okay, you've got to know what you're about. And what Helena was about there was that she knows more than anybody else. And I guess that's what most of us are about most of the time. But you don't know anything if you don't know that that's the case. That if I'm yakking on, it's because I think I know more than you do. Okay, but at least I know that. At least I know that that's what I'm saying. At least I know where I'm coming from. At least I know what's motivating me. At least I know that. Okay? Helena didn't. Helena believed she had the truth and that nobody else did. That's dangerous. Knowing that you're likely to be just as misguided as everybody else, knowing that, all right, and the world is a safe place. If we all knew that we don't know anything, but that we think it might be a bit like this, but who cares anyway, there will be no more war. 0171412 1152. I'm Tommy Boyd, this is LBC.
0171 412 1152.
The switchboard's gone solid, so we'll take some calls live to air. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC. Fair comment. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC. Fair comment. I'm told by those who know that as soon as people realise that they have the opportunity to say what they think, they chicken out. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC.
Good morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
You are my favorite presenter from a long way back. But please give a chance to the foreigner to express themselves, right or wrong. It is nice to hear the opposite view, but not have a fight with the button. Please.
The button isn't used.
Well, no, because you see...
And I don't like people when they call a radio station who don't help me or help my listener. They're only trying to help themselves. I find that a selfish act. And that's why I intervene.
Because, you see, becoming British in 53, I come from Ukraine, and it is known fact that Tito had helped to hold his...
We're not having a conversation, darling. When I say something, it's a good idea that you at least acknowledge that you've heard it. That's how we do conversation in Britain. We're brilliant at conversation. That's why English is the global language. Our language lends itself to conversation. So when somebody says something, you at least acknowledge that you've heard it, even if you haven't understood it. And if you haven't understood it or don't want to understand it, then you say that. That's how it works. Conversation is like dominoes. If the last domino down is a 3, you have to respond with a 3, even if you want to put a 6 down on the back end of the 3. That's how conversation works. It's a fundamental politeness. You don't just simply march on with your next point, unless you're from the Ukraine or unless you're a politician. 0171 412 1152. Good morning, caller. You are live on LBC.
Oh, hi there. I'm an uneducated person. I haven't got any sort of comments to make other than, why do you not let that lady pursue her conversation? You just seem to be so rude to her.
I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere.
It just, you know,
I can't hang around waiting for people just to let it all hang out.
Oh, I don't think you gave her a fair chance.
I had to make the judgment that she didn't have anything worth saying.
Oh, well, I didn't come over like that.
Well, you have to trust me a bit, don't you? Maybe I know what I'm doing. Maybe I don't. Sometimes I don't think I do. I'm being honest. I'm saying how it is. I mean, you know, that's what I want people to do. That's what we should do. That's how conversation should be. That's how it's going to work. Christ, it's lonely enough being a human being, right? If you can't actually reach out using language, which is the only tool we've got. We ain't got body language on the radio, and that ain't much good. We've got language, so let's use it. Let's use it properly. 0171 412 1152. The switchboard's very busy, so we're taking calls live to air. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC.
Hello, Tommy. Is that you?
Speaking.
Yes, I think we should attack Serbia, this country. I'm all with it, and I'm with this country, and I'm a very patriotic man in this country, and I think we should attack them, because if we don't, the same thing will happen, the same as Hitler. And if it goes on, we should be looking at Hitler as another Jesus Christ, Saint Adolf. If this carries on, we're going to have refugees all over the country. Serbia, they've even been talking about whether they should bomb the Italian airfields now.
You do know this is nonsense.
And this is the problem, that there is a civil war going on there.
No, get off your soapbox. Listen,
there is a civil war.
I'm sorry, pal.
Stop it.
We're not having soapbox stuff. We're having conversations.
We're having conversation now. You're the one who's giving the soapbox stuff. I'm telling you the truth.
When there's another person on the line, I'm not...
I'm a youngster. You're only a baby. You must listen and learn.
How old am I then?
What, you're about 30, I reckon.
Thank you very much indeed. Listen, pal, you must know you're talking nonsense, I hope. Because I wouldn't let you have the vote if I thought you really believed what you've just said. What a load of rubbish.
It's experience that I've seen. And this is what a lot of you have got to try and learn. If you listen to me and listen to other people, history repeats itself, and history repeats itself. And anyone who don't look at history and listen to history... Name
me one military solution down the last 2,000 years of human conflict that was a solution.
This is human nature.
No, I'm asking you...
You're never going to stop it.
I asked you a question, pal.
I'm answering you a question. Can you name... over here, and we can't put up with them.
Can you name...
everywhere. We're unemployed.
No, you can't. Listen to this.
Now, we haven't got a national health service.
The phone lines are buzzing now with people saying, why don't you let that man finish
Attlee was the best Prime Minister, and he brought in the national health.
Attlee was the worst Prime Minister. Fine man, a scholar and a citizen. You'll have to go, pal. No, leave the door open. Somebody's asking if they should close the studio door. No, leave it open. I need the air. I need fresh air. It ain't coming down the phone lines. Let's squeeze in one more very quick call. Caller, you are live on LBC. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I just hope the British public flood your switchboard this morning, because I'm insulted by the way you speak to people. There's serious things going on in Yugoslavia this morning, and all you can try to do is to teach people how to speak to you, and that is disgusting.
There you go. And remember, they've got the vote, and they're probably the reason why we had that last government for 17 years. 0171 412 1152. Douglas Cameron is here next with the news. Douglas Cameron is a man who has reported on, covered many wars, who has seen wars. He's the closest thing this country will ever have to the great American broadcaster Walter Cronkite. And I want to ask him what his thoughts are about what's going on in Kosovo this morning after we've heard the news. You're listening to LBC.
On LBC 1152 AM. Call 0171 412 1152.
I've held Douglas Cameron back from the newsroom just for a moment because, Douglas, you have covered, you have seen, you have reported, you have analysed so many conflicts in all four corners of the world. I know you've seen active service yourself. I know an awful lot of people listening are really interested in hearing what your thoughts are on what's going on in Kosovo at the moment.
Yes, I have seen active service. I was unlucky enough, I suppose, to go to Korea with the Royal Scots way back in the early 50s, and I saw a bit of active service there. But I'm against this bombing, Tommy. I don't think there's any way that it can serve any purpose at all. If it could, then okay. But I don't think there's any way that this bombing will bring Milosevic back to the negotiating table. I feel that it is fraught with problems. It's terrain that, even with sophisticated radar technology, we're not going to be accurately bombing. I feel there are so many refugees dotted all over the country. We're going to kill some of them, inevitably. And I feel that there are so many difficulties. And I feel the other thing is that the Serbs have not yet retaliated. If they do, and of course we're not dealing with Saddam Hussein's little army, are we here? We're dealing with very tough guys who could fight to the death. I feel if the Serbs do retaliate, it could really expand the conflict beyond the borders of Kosovo. So I don't feel that it's going to do any good at all, and it could go on for weeks and weeks, couldn't it?
Douglas, thank you. You see, news broadcasting's gain is the nation's loss. What a Prime Minister the man would make, and there's plenty of time. Thank you, Douglas.
I'll tell you one thing that I love people to ring you up about, and it's just a thought. I think you can bomb a country into submission, which is what we may do here, but you can't bomb them into cooperation, and surely we want them to cooperate with us, don't we?
0171
I'd love to hear, when I go back to the newsroom, people ring you up about that, Tommy.
Get to the phone. Let's take another call live. The switchboard's solid. Good morning, caller. You are on LBC. Hello.
Morning, Tommy.
Morning.
You're very rude to people, and I think you're mad. Can I explain myself?
Do you know what mad is?
Yes, can I explain myself?
Tell me what mad is.
You?
No, tell me what mad is.
And I hope your MD is listening. The quicker Nicholas Lloyd returns. I've just come back from holiday.
What is mad?
I've never heard so much nonsense on the radio.
Do you know that I can sue you for calling me mad?
Can you?
Yes.
Go on
It's been
then.
done before. I believe £30,000 is the going rate for calling somebody a lunatic.
And what about you cutting off the lady, old age lady who's been in this country? You're cutting off.
Like that? 0171 412 1152. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC. Good morning.
I don't want to go on air.
You don't?
No, I just want to say that we...
You are on air, excuse me.
Pardon?
Just so that you're aware, you are on air.
Oh, well, I'll ring off then. Thank you.
Smashing. There's the life and soul of the party. 0171 412 1152. The switchboards are solid, so we're taking calls live to air. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just think that Tommy Boyd is so rude to everybody this morning. What is the matter with him?
I've no idea. He's very rude this morning.
It's a very, very good radio station.
Would you like me to speak to him?
I'm going to switch off now.
Would you like me to...
I'm going to switch off, and I'm not going to listen to you anymore because you are so arrogant and so rude.
Would you like me to speak to him? There you are, you see. You can judge yourself by your enemies. So I don't suppose Tommy Boyd's feeling all that bad. 0171 412 1152. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC.
Hello there, Tommy. In actual fact, I was like one of your earlier callers. I didn't actually expect to be on air, but I actually spoke to you earlier on in the week about the balloons. Do you remember when I put you on trial? My name was Margaret.
Oh, yes, Margaret.
Well, I tell you what, I can't believe some of the callers that listen to this programme. I'm mad the way people have been so rude this morning, and I just can't believe that you're doing a brilliant job and you've actually passed the test, so you can stay, okay?
You're kind?
I can't believe people. I just
At times embarrassed to be English.
Well, you're living your life in the future, and that's where we have to live it.
You
Everybody
carry
else
on,
is living
mate.
it abroad
You're
or in
doing
the past.
Brilliant job.
You're
Brilliant.
kind, but I can't take too many compliments. I'm not good at it. Thank you for your call.
Okay.
0171412 1152. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC. Hello?
Hello, yep.
Hello. Hi, it's you. You're on LBC.
Yeah, when is LBC going to get rid of your contract? The quicker you go, the better.
Well, I've got a 6-month one in front of me now. Shall I sign it or not?
No, just get rid of it. Don't lose your day job.
Have you got a point to make, or just that? Do you want to be a bit more constructive about it? I'd love to have the conversation. Go ahead. Is that how good you are? Yeah, nice one. 0171412 1152. It's sort of like getting rid of the dead wood, really, in the garden about this time of the year. Yeah. Good morning, caller. You're live on LBC.
Good morning.
Hello.
I know I'm not very articulate, but one thing I was thinking about, you know, when these boys join up at the armed forces, war is not always the thing that they think they're going to do.
No.
You know, it's a bit like old age, really. It's the most unexpected thing that happens to us.
Very true.
And I'm wondering how they think, or how they feel, not knowing that we're all behind them. And that there's so much, you know, should we have done it or should we not have done it?
Yeah.
It must cause them, you know...
I wonder what it's doing to army recruitment this last 9 months since we've had the Gulf. We've had less going on in Belfast. I take your point. I think it's a good point that people tend perhaps join the army because it looks like a good life. And
Yeah, they don't actually... You mean, it's like...
water skiing and abseiling.
You don't actually think about it. Like, you don't actually think that you're going to get old.
But British soldiers have never been far away from bullets.
True.
No.
You know, so
And whoever
we
told
should
you...
make our minds up.
Yeah. And
what we're going to do and be behind them.
Can I just say, I don't know your name. What's your
Liz.
name? Liz.
Yeah.
Whoever told you you were inarticulate, whichever teacher it was wrong.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your call, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's Tommy Boyd. It's LBC.
Tommy Boyd now. 0171 412 1152.
At 10 o'clock, it's Steve Allen, and he'll be here shortly to give us a taster of what's going to be in the show. But the lines are open now until 10, and Maureen calls from Palmer's Green. Maureen, good morning.
Hello, dear.
Maureen.
I am furious
What?
about the way people are phoning in and bringing you down.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Do you know something, Tommy? I've listened to LBC since 1974. I have been at times sick and tired of something, some of the people that have come on. The best thing that has ever happened to me is having you, you know, in the morning from 6 to, my God, from 6 to 10. I absolutely am enjoying it. And so are hundreds of my friends, my elderly friends. We need you. Who wants Sir Nicholas Lloyd?
Well, steady, he's a good man, and Maureen, I appreciate the gist of what you're saying, and I don't want to argue it with you.
Don't argue with me, because all he does...
Well, I wouldn't, would I? Because if I was arguing with you, I'd have to say that I was rubbish.
He does a political broadcast for the opposition.
And does it?
That's all we hear all through the morning from him.
All right, and that's his bag, and every presenter, every host should have their bag, and it's their bag in which you find their fun and their interest. I believe the nation needs a little more adrenaline. It doesn't need Viagra. Not Viagra, what's the other one? Oh, the one begins with P, the one that sends you to sleep. The latest antidepressant. It's not one of the diazepines. Prozac. The nation needs more adrenaline, not more Prozac. 0171412 1152. Jim's on the line from Kings Langley.
Hello, Tommy.
Jim.
Tommy, listening to your broadcast earlier on, you made a remark which I think stands to be corrected, relating to the question of Tiananmen Square about no pictures or news items at the time in question coming out. But at the time, there was a worldwide picture circulated showing a lone student standing in the path of a column of Chinese tanks, denying them the right to advance.
You see, Jim, and so because you saw that picture, which was taken days before the alleged massacre in Tiananmen Square, you're prepared to believe that the alleged massacre in Tiananmen Square took place at all and was as horrendous a loss of life as was reported in the West. Is that correct?
Yes, I suppose yes.
You suppose what I'm saying is correct?
Well, yes.
Well, thank you for correcting me then.
Yeah, okay. Can I say a quick word about NATO?
Oh, if it's as rich in accuracy as your last point, yes, of course.
Well, I think Russia should be the last country in the world to criticise the NATO action in Serbia, bearing in mind that they had a very bad track record of the invasion of Afghanistan, whereby they had to submit to defeat and beat a hasty retreat at the time.
Well, Russia didn't invade Afghanistan.
They didn't invade Afghanistan?
They didn't invade that either. It was invaded by the Soviet Union, which is a crucial distinction and an important difference in 1999.
Okay, Tommy.
Snap. 0171412 1152. Anita's in Romford. Anita.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Anita. Is the kettle on? I'll be round in a minute.
Yeah, come on, mate. You
Good.
can help me with my hoovering.
Hobnobs, is it this morning?
No, I don't care for those.
Oh,
no,
shall we go straight upstairs? I don't know. Go on then, whatever.
Tommy, I just, I very rarely phone up to kind of just chat.
Very rarely?
I've usually got
How often's very rarely, then?
I usually have a big point to make, but my point this morning is I just feel that some of your callers who are slagging you off don't have a brain cell between them.
Not one.
They really just don't know what a presenter's job is all about.
Don't. That's the thing. They phone up and they think that they've got to educate the rest of the listeners. I can't stand that arrogance. If I don't believe I know enough to want to educate people, otherwise I'd work for the BBC.
You have to put, as you were saying to the lady before this guy was on, just now, you virtually said what I phoned up to say. You have to get the adrenaline going.
Yeah, got to get.
Otherwise, you're going to sit there like some dumb mute. And what's the point of having you there?
You've got to make sure that things are interesting and that people are interested.
And you have to put both sides or the other side.
Exactly, Anita. Thank you for your call. On with the hoovering. Why does the stair carpet always get so dirty? Another day. 0171412 1152. Here's Linda in Dartford. Linda, you're on LBC. Good morning.
Hello there. Yeah,
Hi.
I've spoken to you about Bosnia years ago. You were on Talk Radio, and I'm making the same point as I did then.
I'm feeling
what
hunted
right does
now.
the West, America and Britain, have to act as well policemen and interfere in the affairs of other countries, basically? And what right do they have to go and bomb this?
Well, what right has our government got to employ policemen? This is in Britain. Go on, you tell me. What right has our government got to employ policemen?
Well, it's to protect their interests, really, isn't it?
Well, that's the rationale. But I think when you say what right, you're talking about something slightly different. What right has our government got to employ policemen to tell us what we can and can't do?
Well, that's a good question. Perhaps we should be asking that.
Do you accept that we can have policemen?
I don't think there's any need for them, really. I think we're quite capable of acting as a civilised
Now, you see, that's interesting, because that is anarchy. Anarchy is no, my friend, it is anarchy. Anarchy is not Molotov cocktails. Anarchy is the belief that fundamentally enough people are basically good for us not to need other people
Do you not believe that?
patrolling everybody. Yes, I do.
Really? I believe that if there were no policemen, everyone would just actually explode.
I'm a disciple of Emma Goldberg, an 18th century New York Jewess who invented the concept of anarchy, and I can tell you it is as decent and as noble as anything in the Bible.
All right.
Yeah.
So you think that justifies the intervention in Kosovo?
Oh, no, I'm not clever enough to thread it back to Kosovo.
No?
For a moment, I thought we were sitting on a stool and we had Kosovo in the freezer, but you want it out again and warm it up.
Well, that's what I was making the point about. What right does the West have to interfere and dictate to other countries?
Well, very quickly, you see somebody in the street hitting their dog with a stick.
Yeah.
What right have you got to say something? But you probably do. Why? Because it feels about right, yeah?
That's a bit of a different situation, really, isn't it?
Well,
We're not actually getting the truth. We're only getting a very tainted version.
All I'm saying is that that's what gives them the right. They think it is right. That's what they're saying.
I don't know. I think it's more to do with their own positions in the
Could
world
be.
rather than what they really feel about what's going on over there.
Thank you for your call, Linda in Dartford. Very quick, if you want, 0171412 1152. More calls, and we'll find out what's on Steve Allen's show. This is LBC.
Big Bad Boyd on LBC 1152 AM. Call 0171 412 1152.
Call me Tommy. It's LBC and Rod's called from Herne Bay. Rod, morning.
Good morning, Tommy. I'm really concerned about the apparent double standard here. We're prepared to spend a vast amount of money attacking Serbia with weapons for apparently the defence of the Kosovans, and yet those Kosovans who manage to escape the hell that's out there, when they arrive as refugees in Great Britain, are treated barely above the state of criminals. I'm very concerned about the double standard there, both in the expenditure and the attitude towards them.
It's a good question you asked. Now, I've always found that people who ask good questions usually have good answers up their sleeve. So what do you think the reason is?
I honestly don't know.
Oh, well, that's
sorry to blow your theory there, Tommy. But we have this double standard, and I don't know why, if we are being told that the Kosovans are so important, and I wouldn't argue with the fact that the Kosovan people are very important.
Well, surely it's because there's votes in bombs, but not votes in aid.
Yeah, I mean, I think, which brings us back to the questions that have arisen over Clinton's motivation and all sorts of things. Is our motivation really to do with caring for other people and their situation, or is it to do with scoring political points in the West?
We'll call it a rhetorical question, Rod. Thanks very much indeed for your call. Steve Allen's next. Steve, morning.
Good morning. Well, if people want to carry on talking about the first war in 50 years, they're more than welcome to, but it doesn't solve any problems, of course, that might be there on the ground. NATO, I've noticed, are praying that the air power alone will break the will of Slobodan Milosevic. I fear not, I'm afraid, and I fear yet more loss of life. It does seem strange that we've got headlines again. It's like going back to the Falklands, as NATO's new dawn raids and dreadful pictures of carnage. I predicted it yesterday. I said loss of life, and we've been proved right. We'll talk food at 11 this morning, and at 12, it's John Warrington with travel tips. So anywhere you want to go, I can recommend a few places not to go, but I'm sure he'll be sending you to some interesting places.
I'll be with Anne, and I'll talk to you from 6 tomorrow. Douglas Cameron's next with the news. This is LBC.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.